As an international expert in human milk science, Meghan Azad's research has broadly publicized how infant nutrition and the microbiome shape lifelong health. Azad leads a diverse team with collaborators in over 20 countries. She co-founded the Manitoba Interdisciplinary Lactation Center and co-directs the International Milk Composition Consortium. Azad's trailblazing research is shaping policy and practice regarding infant feeding, human milk banking, and maternal-child healthcare.
Hi everyone, my name is Meghan Azad. I'm an associate professor at the University of Manitoba, and I look forward to sharing with you some of my research on human milk, the ultimate superfood, and personalized medicine. So it might surprise you to know that globally, up to 20% of child mortality is attributable to suboptimal breastfeeding. So these are data from 2013, and you can see that in countries like South Africa, which I've highlighted here, close to 18% of child deaths are attributed to suboptimal breastfeeding. This might be because infants who are not breastfed are not getting the protective antibodies from their mother's milk that would protect them against fatal infections. It might also be because non-breastfed infants are getting a breast milk substitute that's made with water that's unsafe to drink in these settings. It's actually been estimated that improving breastfeeding practices worldwide could save more than 820,000 lives a year. Now, fortunately, where we live in Canada, we don't have many infants dying because of suboptimal breastfeeding procedures, but that doesn't mean that it's not important to study and understand. So this is a pamphlet given out in my home province of Manitoba, detailing 8 great reasons to breastfeed your baby. And so you can see here that it's convenient, it saves money, it's good for the planet. But the one I'll focus on for the most part is that breastfed babies are healthier. And so, for example, breastfed babies have a 36% reduced risk of sudden infant death syndrome in the first months of life. They also have a 72% reduced risk of respiratory tract infections. They have a 30% reduced risk of type 1 diabetes, and they have a 15 to 30% reduced risk of obesity later in adolescence and adulthood. Now, if I could add a 9th great reason to breastfeed, it would be related to the microbiome. So these are the microbes that live in and on our bodies, doing many different things that for the most part help keep us healthy. For example, these microbes generate vitamins that we can't generate on our own. They also help us digest food that we can't digest on our own. And importantly, they help train the developing immune system during infancy. And so one of the findings in our research about 10 years ago now is that breastfeeding was a really important factor shaping the microbiome. And this paper actually won an award for Paper of the Year, and we were really proud of that. This finding has been replicated many times over since it was published, and we weren't the first to show it. And one of those replications has come from the beautiful TEDdy study, an international cohort that looked at many different factors influencing the infant microbiome and found very clearly that breast milk was the most important early in life. And so when we think about why that is, we have to think about what's in the milk. How is milk supporting the microbiome? How is it preventing infections? Well, it has to do with the components. And so what you can see here is that formula contains the main nutrient building blocks that a baby needs to grow. So these include the micro and macronutrients. But on top of that, breast milk contains many more personalized components from the mother. These include antibodies, hormones, enzymes, and growth factors. And actually this figure is a little bit out of date. It doesn't contain some of my favorite components, which include probiotic bacteria, so beneficial bacteria, and prebiotic oligosaccharides, which is food for those beneficial bacteria. These are found naturally together in breast milk. Breast milk also contains stem cells from the mother, as well as food antigens from the mother's diet, which might help prevent food allergies. So my team has studied many of these things, often with the child cohort study, which is a study of 3,500 families recruited from 4 Canadian provinces with children born between 2009 and 2012. We're still following these children today, so we have a really neat opportunity to understand how breast milk components ingested by these children when they were babies might be influencing their health still later in life as we follow them today. And so at the child study, we've recently launched a new website that shows some of our key discoveries. They're sorted by topic here, and it makes me really happy that breastfeeding is, I think, the biggest topic. And so you can access this website and read summaries of the different research studies that we've done about breast milk and other things in the child study. And so I'll just give you a sneak peek. This is one study we did looking at the fats in breast milk. And we found that the amount of fat and the mixture of different types of fats were unique to each mother, and they were influenced by many different factors. So these include the mother's genetics, her age and weight, her health, her diet, even the time of year. We also found that compared to mothers in other parts of the world, Canadian mothers had relatively low levels of an important fat called DHA. And we also found that mothers who were taking a doctor-approved fish oil supplement had better levels of this DHA. And so these were important findings in terms of recommending to mothers what nutrition and supplements they should be considering while breastfeeding. Another example of breast milk research from the child study is where we looked at the microbes in milk. So until relatively recently, it was assumed that breast milk was sterile, but we now know that breast milk, even from healthy mothers, contains millions of microbes that are provided to the baby every day through breastfeeding. And we saw that some of these microbes appeared to be shared with the baby, looking at samples from the baby's gut. And that some of these shared bacteria seem to be protective against wheezing, which might be a risk factor for asthma. And so the sharing of these good bacteria seemed to be greater when infants nursed directly at the breast, as opposed to receiving milk that was pumped and fed from a bottle. And so these are important observations that we're following up to understand. So these infographics and summaries are available for free on the Child Study website, and I'd encourage you to go take a closer look and please share them. That's what they're there for. I also want to tell you about the Imec study. So the child study is a Canadian study, but we're interested in looking at breast milk from women around the world to see how it differs and how it's related to important health outcomes in those settings. And so we're doing the Imec study, the International Milk Composition Consortium, funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We're looking at milk in Canada and 3 other low middle income settings. And we're doing a really comprehensive analysis of about 1,000 mother-infant pairs to look at the nutrient components of milk, macro and micronutrients, as well as the bioactive elements and the microbes. And so this is a really comprehensive study, probably the largest of its kind ever done on human breast milk. And we're also able to work with some pretty sophisticated data scientists to apply techniques like machine learning and artificial intelligence to integrate all these data from the human milk and understand how they relate to infant health and development, including growth and body composition, nutritional status, and so on. So stay tuned for results from Imec. The last project I want to tell you about is MILK, the Manitoba Interdisciplinary Lactation Center. So samples from the Imec study are coming to our human milk biorepository in Manitoba at MILK. And this is where we're able to process them and circulate them around the world for analysis. But also at MILK, we're starting to collect samples from Manitoban mothers who are having their babies get their regular vaccines, and they're asked to provide information about their feeding practices and also to donate a sample of milk for research. This information and these samples are then linked into our population research data repository in Manitoba, which contains health records from both the mom and baby, allowing us to understand what maternal characteristics are shaping milk composition and how that milk composition might predict both maternal and infant health outcomes later on. So a focus at MILK, in addition to doing research, is knowledge translation. We think it's important not just to do research, but to make sure that the right people know about it. So we do things like speaking to the mainstream media, help develop courses for healthcare providers about breast milk, serve on national committees, looking at the evidence around human milk. We've made some great animated videos to share our research findings, and members of our team have written commentaries in outlets like The Conversation Canada. So these and many of our other favorite resources are available on our milkresearch.com website. And I want to end off by thanking the members of my many research teams that have supported me over the years in doing this exciting work and being recognized by the Royal Society. So thank you very much. I'd be happy to receive questions from anyone out there watching. This is where you can find me, and I will sign off there.